The following segment is sponsored by Ameriprise Financial. Are you working to build generational wealth? If you don't know what that is, Marcy, the Senior Vice President of Financial Advice Strategy with Ameriprise Financial, is here with tips to help us smoothly transfer money, financial values, and other assets across generations. Marcy, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, so what is Ameriprise Money and Family Study, and what are some of the key findings?
Well, we wanted to understand just what you mentioned. How are people thinking about the idea of generational wealth? How do they think about taking everything they've been able to work hard to accumulate and save over their lifetimes and passing it on to the next generation? Is that important, and how are they thinking about it? And we learned it is a big aspiration for a lot of people. 8 out of 10 people said that is something they would very much like to do. And about 2/3 of them are actively taking steps to do so, but they are not necessarily telling their family members. And so there's a communication opportunity. Fewer than 20% said they had shared the details of their plans with the next generation. So opportunity to bolster communication across generations.
Wow, interesting. Okay, and do you have tips on how families can smoothly transfer assets like real estate?
Well, real estate's a great question because it's a very common intention. Of the people who intend to pass down real estate, 85% of them said it's the primary residence that they live in that they're planning to pass on to the next generation. And we talked to people in our study who had already inherited real estate in the past and wanted to learn what the experience was like. And many of them said it had been a little bit bumpy, and they had some advice for how others might want to handle that differently to make it go more smoothly. Number one, have a detailed plan in place in advance. Number two, make sure you're involving the right financial professionals, particularly an estate planning attorney or a lawyer involved. But I'd also recommend a financial advisor who can help look at the big picture, as well as a tax professional, an accountant, a CPA, who can make sure you're minimizing the impact of taxes across generations. And then finally, and importantly, make sure you're sharing the details about that property or that piece of real estate, the details that are going to help the transition go more smoothly, like if it's a vacation home or a second home, like who cuts the grass if it's not occupied, or when was the roof last replaced, where's the deed? All of those sorts of questions will be hard to answer later if you haven't documented them and passed them on. So those are some ideas to help the transition of real estate go more smoothly across generations.
Those are really good tips, Marcy. And how important is passing financial values on to the next generation for investors? And what are strategies to help them accomplish this?
Well, it's the number one thing. When we said to people, what does it mean to you to leave a legacy and what's important to you? Even more important than passing on financial assets was passing on financial values. And so a big tip there is to make sure you've opened up communication across generations on that topic as well. If you're in the older generation, think about what lessons you've learned in your financial life and throughout your journey that you want the next generation to be able to learn, and maybe avoid any mistakes that you would not want them to have to repeat, but also share with them the motivation and inspiration for things that you do. If you have charities that you support, which ones and why? Why do you care about them? If you're in the younger generation, think about asking some open-ended questions to help you learn. Things like, tell me about your first job, or how did you and Grandpa come to buy this house? Or, tell me about how you got started saving. Those are the kinds of open-ended questions
good info
the younger generation can ask.
Awesome. Marcy, where can we go for more info?
We've got great info at our website, ameriprise.com/family.
Fantastic. Thanks for all the tips, Marcy. Have a great day.
Thank you.